the big news item today, Nintendo released 10 minutes of gameplay of Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
So me and Josh obviously connected with The Legend of Zelda, specifically Ocarina of Time. I assume you're just as excited as I am
So
about it.
this is a lot of spoilers for if any of those of you listening are trying to
Yeah.
avoid these. We are about to discuss this entire 10-minute.
We're about to
gameplay
crush
demo.
you with
Yeah.
spoilers.
So maybe jump about 10 minutes ahead. We'll mark it.
Yeah.
We'll mark a section in the YouTube video if that's where you're watching.
Sweet.
But as soon as they showed what did they call it? The fuse.
Yes. Yeah.
Ability?
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, the rewind time, like I get that. That kind of makes sense. But then they showed the fuse ability, and you just can pick up all these random objects, and then making the new weapons. Number one,
Yeah.
was crazy. As soon as he attached a rock to a stick, and it didn't break after 3 hits, I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. But then I didn't see where it was going with the vehicles. You literally could build. You could build a house, I guess, if you wanted to.
Yeah, so like they kicked things off obviously with gameplay, and at first it is Breath of the Wild. Like it's still graphically, I mean, it looked a little bit better. They did some refinements. I've been watching a lot of like Game Explain videos and stuff where they're doing comparisons and stuff. But then you get to the rewind feature, which is actually called recall. Right, so objects fall from the sky because, the whole point of the game is there's cities in the sky, islands in the skies. And they're called the Sky Islands. So recall shoots you up in the air, rewinds time and objects. Fuse, you can put weapons together. Ascend is the going through ceilings. So like if you're in a cave. So I really do think, because there's been some YouTubers, my secret inside YouTubers, who have discovered, like, it looks like there are still shrines, but it looks like there are bigger shrines now that could potentially be what we hope as Zelda fans, dungeons of some sort.
Right.
So I really do think the Ascend going through ceilings is going to play a part in dungeons. This is just a theory. Because if you think about like the old 2D Zeldas, the different like going down the stairs in A Link to the Past or falling down like the squares or something, it was it was platformed, so it's like I feel like maybe they like implemented that into some sort of, because it's just like weird. Like I get it, it's quicker to, because Al Numa, the producer, during this video said that it's to climb stuff faster instead of having to use stamina and climb up a mountain. But I'm like, is that really all? Like, is that can't be. You're lying to us, man. You're lying. The Ultra Hand, putting stuff together, building the raft, a car, looks crazy. So, I don't know if you picked up on this, but like, do you feel like Tears of the Kingdom is going to be more limited than Breath of the Wild? So like we have the kind of like the Minecraft construction stuff, do what you want, but I didn't see any swords, I didn't see any bows. Even on the presentation, if you look at the D-pad, there was like an apple, a shield, and a sword, but there was nothing on the bottom of the D-pad. There was
a section, remember, he was shooting the birds, he was hunting them, and he put the
I
mushrooms
did
on
see
the
that
arrows,
yeah,
or not, the Keese eyes.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was super cool. But like with I guess, let me reiterate, the whole fusing of the weapons, do you think that there are going to be less weapons?
I think there's still going to be traditional things. I'm just curious if have there, besides maybe Majora's Mask, has there ever really been like a mainline game where you don't have the Master Sword?
Yes. Yeah. Well, mainline game.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker,
Twilight Princess,
Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess. Yeah.
I mean, the Master Sword is it's destroyed. It got whatever dropped in acid or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's like whatever they showed it, but like not in this trailer. But
I feel like it
yeah,
has to come back though. So I still think there's traditional swords. I do wonder if you can fuse things into the Master Sword though.
that was actually something I was thinking about. Like I'm like, okay, like can I put like I don't know
I'm gonna put a
a
Keese on
rock?
the Master
So,
Sword.
yeah, a Keese
Yeah.
on the Master Sword.
It's gonna be the energy rays from the OG Zelda,
Yes,
except for their
with a giant
enemy
eye on
sinking.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it'll be
Yeah,
like the laser beam. Yeah, you can just like shoot up.
that Ultra Hand feature though. Was it Ultra Hand?
Yes, yeah, Ultra Hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. So you mentioned this about it having kind of that Minecrafty tone, and I was just kind of blown away when he threw a couple engines on there. I feel like it's still going to be a little bit limited, like you just hit the raft with a stick and then
Yeah.
it starts the engines or whatever. But I'm really curious to see what all parts we're going to get in there. It's almost going to be like Zelda and Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah.
There's going to be some crazy things people build.
Do you So I'm very excited about this game because I'm a huge Zelda guy. But do you feel like it's I don't know how to say this. Like, I get Nintendo and their innovation and like spicing up their games, which I'm all for. Tears of the Kingdom, I'm excited, but I feel like with Tears of the Kingdom, I'm kind of getting that feeling like people did with Breath of the Wild when there were shrines. They're like, oh, there's no dungeons and there's no this. But like me, I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, I love that I can just go do whatever I want, when I want, whatever. But now that they're really implementing this whole like construction and people are making the joke Banjo Kazooie nuts and bolts thing,
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm not going to like Tears of the Kingdom as much as Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild, like, it had that sandbox of like, oh, this is a rock that I can freeze and shoot across, but I can't do anything else with it, unless it's like dropping it on enemies or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like, do you feel like, is this going to 100% tie to construction?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be
Okay.
a lot of traditional stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of the demo to show how it's different from Breath of the Wild and why people are going to want it.
Which is cool because like I feel like if they made Tears of the Kingdom, didn't have the construction side, the Minecraft side to it, and just added dungeons, then people would have been like, oh, it could have just been DLC, or because I mean it literally is like some of the same music. It's kind of like when Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask came out. It was like a lot of it's just the hardware, they don't have time to make all new things and stuff right now because that Switch 2 is coming. But, so.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a direct sequel like Majora's Mask was.
Yeah.
So it's largely using a lot of the same assets, music, the engine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense that it looks super similar. But Aonuma did say that, the world is quite different. You just have to kind of look for it.
And that gives me hope because, like, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were, to me, two completely different games.
Right.
Because
the tones were different, the story totally different. They reused the assets in different ways. Like the characters were different people.
Yeah, and then you go to Wind Waker, which is like different, and then to Twilight Princess, which is like, oh my god, this is like realistic. To Skyward Sword. When Skyward Sword came out, I was disappointed because I was like, dude, you went from this. Yeah, well, not only the art style, but it was just actually, I would say the last two Zelda trailers that got me very excited were Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild. But like when I saw Skyward Sword, I was like, okay, cool, Zelda, but I'm like, what is this? Like you went from Twilight Princess to that, and that was the same when people were like, oh, A Link to the Past to Ocarina of Time, or Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker. They're like, Ocarina of Time was so like serious and this and that, and now it's like, I'm a little cartoon guy sailing on a boat, which Wind Waker is one of my favorite Zeldas. But I think I'm kind of feeling that with Tears of the Kingdom a bit, but
it's that pretty big core mechanic change.
It is, yeah. Like gameplay wise and everything, yes. But I'm like, I think it's just sometimes I underestimate Nintendo, even though I'm the biggest Nintendo nerd out there.
Gotta have faith.
But I gotta have faith. And Breath of the Wild reeled me back a bit because I said this a few episodes ago. Like I was so big into graphics. I was so big into like Xbox One, PS4, you know, even going back to PS3, 360, which like I love those systems. I love those games. But like it got to a point where I felt like everybody was doing the same thing. And then Breath of the Wild came out and it was hard for me to go play that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I got to go back to like a Nintendo console that's not as powerful, but it reeled me back in. And it's just been like the Switch is my favorite system. So I am very excited about Tears of the Kingdom. I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered the amiibo. That new Switch OLED looks really cool. And the Pro Controller and the case look awesome that they did.
And when are those coming out?
So the console's coming out, I believe, April 28th. Let me pull up the article real quick. Yeah, so the console comes out April 28th. And then the Pro Controller and carrying case come out day of release, May 12th. So,
all right.
And the amiibo comes out May 12th as well. So,
nice. So what is the amiibo of?
It's Link. It's Link, and he's like kind of like crouched a bit, and he's holding out his like new whatever magnetic arm. I think it's the Twilight. Just a theory, you know. But yeah, nice. It's super cool.